Let's pay homage to the lineage gurus. Homage to the Venerable Monk Liao Ming. Homage to Master Sakya Zeng Kong. Homage to His Holiness the 16th Karmapa. And homage to Master Tupten Dorje. Homage to the three jewels of the altar. And homage to the main deity of Homa today, the Kala Chakra Buddha. Simu, Danzen Gatsu, all Dharma masters, Dharma educators, Dharma teachers, Dharma lecturers, Dharma assistants, directors of temples and chapters, and all disciples present here and over the internet. And our participating VIPs today are and the head of the Da Hong publisher from France, Dharma Sister Fan Sandrine, and the president of Hong Kong Costco International Company, Dharma Sister Lian Hua Mi Si and Dharma Sister Lian Hua Jia Wen. Dr. Ryan Zhuang and wife Dr. J.D. Lee, J.D. Gao, and the member of the advisor to the Overseas Chinese from the Republic of China, Ms. Winnie Shi, and the president of the Greenland Company, Mr. Ton. Good afternoon, everyone. How do you do? So today we perform Kala Chakra Homa fire offering ceremony. So this Homa is truly great because the Dharma transmission of Kala Chakra, we can say, Kala Chakra is highly revered in the 4 schools of Tibetan Tantrayana, and Kala Chakra Tantra is not to be transmitted by most Rinpoches or gurus. And Grandmaster upholds 3 lineages for Kala Chakra. The first one, it's from the Kanchurva, which is the Kanchurva living Buddha, who transmitted to Tupten Nima, who transmitted to Tupten Dali, who transmitted to Tupten Dorje, who transmitted personally to the living Buddha Lian Sheng, Grandmaster Seng Yen Lu. So Grandmaster does have lineage for Kala Chakra from the Kanchurva. And how did Kanchu Urwa, living Buddha, uphold the lineage? He's a great living Buddha from Mongolia. And in Mongolia, there were two great living Buddhas. One is Zhangjia living Buddha, and the other one is the Kanchur living Buddha. They were both great living Buddha. And the Kalachakra Tantra in Tibetan Tantrayana can only be transmitted by Dalai Lama, Panchen Lama, and very few great Rinpoches. And also the living Buddha Gong Tangtang also could transmit Kalachakra. And the living Buddha Gong Tangtang and I have discussed about Kalachakra Dharma practice. The second lineage is through the ninth Panchen Lama, who transmitted to Master Sakya Tsongkhong, Dezhong Rinpoche, who transmitted to living Buddha Lien Sheng, the Grandmaster Sengyen Lu. And the first lineage was transmitted in Hong Kong. The second lineage was transmitted in Seattle at the Sakya Temple in Seattle. And the third lineage is a very extraordinary. This lineage is the secret tranquil meditation lineage. So it's a secret lineage. And what is that? Is when Grandmaster in meditation, the Kalachakra Buddha appeared. And through the appearance of the Kalachakra Buddha, who entered into Grandmaster's Samadhi, when Grandmaster and Kalachakra were in union, that the lineage during that time is called the secret lineage. And when I transmitted, when I performed the Dharma transmission of Kalachakra in Indonesia, I was holding incense sticks in my hands, and the incense was burning. And formed smoke. And the smoke from the incense formed the shape and the look of Kalachakra face to face with Grandmaster. It was such a coincidence. So when Grandmaster was offering the incense, someone took a picture. And then, when they saw the photo, they were very surprised. Because Kalachakra was right in front of Grandmaster. So, don't you think that was quite a coincidence? See, in terms of time, had they waited, then the smoke probably would have dissipated. But at the moment when they took the photo, the form of the smoke was just happened to be Kalachakra. So nowadays it's very easy to fabricate the photos. But the smoke, how can you fabricate the smoke to make a form? So his nose looks like a nose, his eyes look like eyes, and his lips, and the face, and how many heads, they all appeared. So that was really unique. So now they took photos of me. So I don't know what would appear this time.
这个就可以，好像是说这种相片很难去用烟呐，那个刚好香烟啊，这个升起来，结成十轮金刚的形。
So
怎么样子特别
the smoke happened to form the shape of Kala Chakra.
先插播一点广告。
But first, let me interrupt with some ad.
下礼拜天是10月27日下午3点 PM.
For next Sunday, October 27th, at 3 p.m., there would be Mahachundi Homa fire offering ceremony. And the mudra that Mahachundi form is called the general mudra or the chief mudra, which is the first mudra that we would form every time we perform mudra transformations. And the sit syllable is light yellow Jun sit syllable, radiating light yellow or golden colored light. The mantra.
尊提所哈是18手，有18个手，它有。
So she has 18 arms, Mahachundi Buddha.
那么准提佛母的法力非常的大啊，准提佛母的法力非常的大。
So Mahachundi's Dhamma power is extremely great.
我记得我到了那个印度的达兰萨拉。
I remember when I went to Dharamsala in India.
跟达赖喇嘛面对面。
I was meeting face to face with Dalai Lama.
那么我们之间呢谈论到一件事情。
And we were discussing one thing.
就是说，你如何去
which is
印证，如何让你看到本尊？
How can you see the Yidam?
我们谈到这个如何是
We
看
were
见本尊。
discussing how do you see the Yidam?
你要看到。
And first I said, in order to see the Yidam, first you have to be focused in concentration. You have to be single-minded. In order to see the Yidam. But when you're single-minded, will the Yidam appear right away? In the beginning? No. At first, when you're totally focused and single-minded, you can see light. At first, the light that you see is called the Prajna light, which are often appear in the photos that were taken in our schools. When I was performing ceremonies in the Taiwan temple, at every ceremony, when they take photos, there would be prajna lights, lots of prajna lights, many of them. And there are circles of lights, and inside it, it's a mandala, an altar with 4 gates, with the main deity at the center inside the prajna light. And there is a main deity in each prajna light. That was at the Taiwan Lechang Temple. And at every ceremony, there are pictures. There were pictures of those. But here, not many people take photos. But they often appear. So, in your practice, first you see the prajna light. As long as you're totally focused and concentration. And at first they would move. Why would they move? Because your mind is still moving. Once you make your mind still, completely still, which doesn't mean that your heart would stop beating. In the past, Simu had the very strong heartbeats, would beat very hard. How many times a minute then? It would the hearts would beat that you can tell. You can see it through the clothes. And then she said, it's about time for me. About there, but not quite. So I would my breath and say stop. No, the heart did not stop. With that sound and my blessing, immediately the clothes would stop beating. They would return to normal. It happened many times. Recently, it's been normal. It's rare that it would be beating that hard. But recently, her leg and arm are not normal. She's not wearing the precept robe because it's very difficult for her to hook. She needs help to clip the precept robe with the Lama outfit. On the sleeve and on the collar. And when nobody helped her, her hand has no strength to use the clip. Therefore, she needs a close attendant alongside her in order to help her wear the precept robe. That's why it's very slow for her to get dressed. So the heartbeats is now cured. Well, maybe because when you were younger, you were extremely ferocious. So that's why. But now as you age, you return to normal. If I had not been by her side, who knows where you would have been. It beat really hard before. So, in order to see the prajna light, and why the prajna light would twinkle and running around and moving around, that's because your mind is moving. You have to make your mind to abide at one point in order for the prajna lights to also stop still. And then I told Dalai Lama, next you would see the Vajra Chain. Next to him, there was a translator because I spoke in Chinese. He did not speak in English. He could speak in English and Tibetan and Chinese. He is able to speak Chinese, but he just doesn't speak it very much. So he had an interpreter with him. So I said, the second one that I saw was the Vajra Chain. But the interpreter did not understand what the Vajra Chain was, and he asked, what was Vajra Chain? What was Jinggang Lian in Chinese? The young interpreter. He could interpret the prajna light or the light drops light. But when I was talking about the Vajra Chain, he could not interpret it any further. So when one prajna light becomes many prajna lights and then you chain them together, that would become Vajra Chain. So when you see the Vajra Chain, that's the next step. When Dalai Lama heard it about the Vajra Chain, when the interpreter asked what the Vajra Chain was, Dalai Lama immediately said, oh, I know what Vajra Chain is. And third, from the Vajra Chain, you would be able to see the Vajra screen. And what is the Vajra screen? Which is when the Vajra Chain becomes lots of them, and there are lots of chains and chains of lots of prajna lights. That would be like the screen, like a monitor, like a screen.
由金刚木里面，你看金刚木里面呢，就出现了本尊出来，在金刚木里面。
And then
这样你就可以看到金刚木。
The yidam will appear inside the Vajra screen. Then you would be able to see. Once you see this Vajra screen, then you can see the yidam. When Dalai Lama heard that, he kept nodding and nodding. So, seeing the yidam is not floating here and floating there like ghost. No, that's not the one. That's not the thing. It's not like as soon as you close your eyes, then you see it. No. You have to go through the process from the prajna light, Vajra Chain, Vajra screen, and then on the screen, on the Vajra screen, the yidam will appear. So I had a dialogue with Dalai Lama for half an hour, and among it we also talk about the Kala Chakra, the Prajna light, Vajra Chain, Vajra screen, and then seeing this yidam. And then in the subsequent meditation, and the Vajra screen would appear, and then you would be able to see the yidam immediately. So this afternoon, Vajra Master Lian He told me that he is going to Alaska to see the aurora.
极光的啊，没有人去看过。
Nobody?
有了哈，有去
Oh,
看
yeah.
那个极光。
There's some people that have seen the aurora.
你也要去看，就是。
And Master Lian He said that he's going there. When?
哦，今年过年以后，他要去阿拉斯加看极光。
After the New Year.
我说你要去看极光啊。
You want to go to see the aurora?
跟联合上师讲。
I told Master Lian He.
我只要躺在床上，我就可以看极光。
Every time I lay in bed, I'm able to see the aurora.
眼睛一闭，你就可以把极光调到你的眼前来。
So as soon as you close your eyes, you would be able to get the aurora right in front of your eyes.
这个是 so easy.
This is so easy.
这种功夫啊，是 small potato chip.
It's
真的，你能够看光的，
it's so easy.
你把极光
If you're able to see light,
引到你的面前来。
you can transport the aurora to right in front of you. So I was talking about going to bed last night. I was laying in bed, closing my eyes, and first,
在床上的都是在修法。
when I lay in bed before sleep, I would perform a practice.
往生净土，
I would say, being reborn in the Pure Land, transcending life and suffering. Namo Amitabha. Golden Mother, please be in charge. Golden Mother, please be in charge. Golden Mother, please be in charge. Why do I request Golden Mother to do that? Because Golden Mother is my first root yidam. Being reborn in the Pure Land, transcending life and leaving behind suffering. Amitabha. That's training myself how to go to the Maha Twin Lotus Ponds, to go to the Pure Land. It's a training, it's a practice, a study, the process. And then I would chant the Buddha's name, Namo, 36,119,500 Buddhas with the same name and identification of Amitabha. So I practice my yidams, Amitabha Buddha, Golden Mother. And then I would chant the merit dedication. And then the two attendants to Amitabha Buddha. Om Amidavase, Om Mani Padme Hum, Om Sisi So Soha.
Om Amidavase, Om Mani Padme Hum, Om Sisi So Soha. So
with these mantras, the three deities would appear. Amitabha Buddha at the center, Avalokitesvara Bodhisattva to the right, and to his left, Mahastama Prapta. And the three deities will appear very clearly, vividly. So every night I would perform this practice. I have to see the appearance of Amitabha Buddha, Avalokitesvara Bodhisattva, and Mahastama Prapta Bodhisattva clearly. So at the moment of death, this is the lowest way for me to be reborn in the Pure Land, which is the appearance of the Pure Land Trinity to guide me to the Pure Land. And that's the worst kind of rebirth in the Pure Land for me. But if I'm able to see this Trinity, these three deities, then I have confidence that I can be reborn in the Pure Land. But if I cannot see this Pure Land Trinity, instead I saw a beautiful lady taking off her clothes right in front of me. And when I saw that, I didn't invoke
突然间
her,
闯进来，
and she showed up by
一个美
herself,
女，
beautiful
脱衣服
lady,
哎，
and taking off her clothes.
这个像修格尔一样的修格尔，她
Like a showgirl,
她不理是
topless showgirl.
她居然在我面前脱衣服，我一看，
Taking off her clothes, and when I saw that, oh my
这个
gosh,
皮肤啊，就像豆腐啊，
the skin is like tofu,
白泡泡，又绵绵，
white and soft and silky.
你知道的，
You know
天
it.
哪，
Oh
这
gosh.
比人工制造的那个双红还要美啊！
It's even more beautiful than the
连
man-made
那个
one.
最细的那两个双峰的粉红点啊，就像肉色这样的小拇指
Oh,
这
and
么一
the
点，
and the
它只
nipples
有你才有的。
are
这样红色的
are
一点
tiny,
小小粉红色的
tiny and pink. Only belong to virgins.
那个身材啊，真的
And the figure,
两个 S
it's 2 S's.
，2 S， 啊，顿时啊，产生了这个迷惘的这一种贪念，那种
And
贪。
in a split of a second,
我跟你讲真
the
实的，
desire
昨天晚上
appears.
如果没有这个梦，我卢师尊给你颠倒写，
If I didn't
叫做
have this dream last night,
尊师卢，给你
then I would say Grandmaster Lu backward.
我跟你讲的是
There will
真实
be
的，真
Lu
实的看见。
Termas Grand. So what I
一
said
时
was
迷惘，
truthful.
一时就迷糊了。
So
心中
immediately,
事实上有一个贪念，
immediately I was
这一下子
a little
警告
bit
就来了，
at
突然
loss.
间警醒，
All of a sudden,
我是在修法，
a thought
怎
of
么可以
desire
看这个
appeared.
他不理事的这个
And then all of a sudden, I was
一
awakened.
下子就给他打成
And then I'm performing a practice. How could this topless thing
就
happen?
消失不见，
So immediately I say pay,
然后
and
就开
that
始
thing
做我的
immediately disappeared. And then I perform my protection,
这个白光射出去，
and I say the white light would shine out. The red light
蓝光
would
射出去
radiate out, and blue,
在我的身体上
the
面
home blue light would shoot out.
结合在一起，
And this 3-colored light would
棒日
combine, and then you would say
变
bang
成一个碗，
with the bang syllable, then they would form a net,
把我的床铺
and
罩
the net
这
would
就是我的结界，
fall down to
我睡
cover
在
my whole bed.
光明里，
So that's my protection. So I
这一结
was
界
sleeping
结界完
inside
就进入
a
睡眠
net of light. And after I performed my protection, I entered into sleep. And I slept really well.
所以我在睡觉以前呢，有时候有插播的。其实我想看美女，
So sometimes there's
一样的
disruption.
只要你念头一转，它就
When
来了。
during your practice, it's very easy. With just one thought, they would
但
come,
是我
they
昨
would
天晚
appear.
上确实没有想说要看美女，确
But
实
last night, I
我
wasn't
他突然
thinking
间
about
插播
wanting to see a beautiful
就像你们
lady,
那
and
个
immediately
一样啊
she showed
听说
up.
也会有插播，你们在
I
在用
heard
手机啊
like
上网啊或者
on your
突然
cell
间
phones,
插播的
sometimes
广告
there's also
会
ads coming in, right?
有啊，就插播一
Interrupting
个广告进来，就是这样子插播进来，所以修行也是一样的。经常
So
你会
it's the
有很多
same
的杂
with
念
pract
插播
with
进来
our practice. That there would be a lot of
但是我经过我这
a
样
lot
子
of irrelevant thoughts distracting you or interfering with you. So today, in talking about Kala Chakra, the most important thing is when you practice the inner tantra, the chi channels and light drops really well. If you do it really well, naturally you would be able to see lights, and that's called the inner Kala Chakra. When you see your yidam face to face, that your yidam appears right in front of you, face to face. And when the yidam moves toward you and you're in union with the yidam and you becomes the yidam, then you are the yidam. That's the self body. And then you and yidam generating the power, that's called the special Kala Chakra. So for Kala Chakra, if you practice the inner Kala Chakra well, then you would be able to see the outer Kala Chakra. And then if you move the outer Kala Chakra to inside your body, to be in union with your inner Kala Chakra, and then when you generate the light and the great majestic Dhamma power, that's called the special Kala Chakra, and that's called the attainment in your spiritual cultivation. Because I have talked about Kala Chakra a lot before, so that's all for today. Today I would continue to talk about Lamdre. So, how come these 8 faults can become meditation? How can these 8 faults can become meditation? The reason is because it arises after practicing the 4 paths accordingly, and it is called meditation. Although it appears to be afflictions, it is not a vain attempt. It is referred as the mind's spiritual experiences. It can conceal and divert the continual thoughts, so it is referred as the spiritual experiences of realization. If one recognizes the meditation and has the ability to maintain it at will, then arises to no fault. This uncommon cause is known to be a fault, and it is extremely valuable, for it is without reason. However, why is it referred as a poison? Because if it arises only after that, and after many years, it will become the hindrance to faultlessness. So this shouldn't be. Let me explain this to you today. In our practice of meditation, these faults will definitely appear, because you're not a sage. Let me share a joke. So at the hypermarket, there was like a noble lady was fighting with the just a ragged woman. Come on, how dare you compare with me? Have you ever worn things I wore? And have you ever eaten stuff I ate? So this noble lady was speaking very roughly. So have you ever worn the clothes I wore? Have you ever eaten stuff I ate? That's how the rich lady speaks. Wearing designer brand. What is the most expensive designer brand now? Hermes.
最贵的名牌是
Hermes.
Hermes。
Is that how you pronounce it?
你看，我穿的是 Hermes。
See, I'm wearing
那你穿的
Hermes.
是什么？
And how about you?
那
What do you
那个
wear?
大婶，结果那个大婶怎么回答？他说
And then
大
that
但
ordinary
那位大婶淡淡地
woman
说
replied very
我没
gently,
穿过的就是寿衣。
the clothes that I have never worn is the clothes for the death.
我没有吃过的就是屎。
So the food that I have never
我
eaten
没
is
吃过的就
poo.
是大便。我没有穿过的就是寿衣啊，我没有吃过的就是大便。
So
这个那个贵妇站在那里，这个
So the
也
noble
没有
lady just
话可以
stood
回
there.
答他，真的。其实那个贵妇也是一样啊。所以人穿什么啊，不一定。
So
像那个
that's why
穿了什么
whatever you wear,
啊，名牌的啦，或者怎么样
whether it's brand name or what kind of clothes, and then you're
就是贵妇
so
得意，
snug
都是一样，
about
始
it,
终看众生都是一样。你有钱来，
so
到
snobbish.
那最有钱
To
你是
Grandmaster,
董
it's
事
all
长
the same. Doesn't
你
matter how
还是
rich
一
you
样
are,
坐在西
or
雅
you're
图疗养室的
president,
地板上。
you're still sitting on the floor in the Seattle temple.
对呀，对不对？你看
Right.
那些董事长，他哪里敢来？因为我们雷上市
So
连椅子都没，
The
西雅图雷上
the
市连椅子都
presidents
没得
don't
坐
like to come because there are no
他们要
chairs,
坐在地板上
right? At the
脚
Seattle
要盘
temple,
起来。
they have to sit on the floors and then fold their
那些
legs.
贵妇穿名
And
牌
the
的贵妇，
noble ladies
所有
wearing
人情当中
expensive brand
这样
names
子浑身动
in the
弹不得，
crowd,
教你做你就
cannot
做，
move.
你不做拉倒你就走。
They just please be seated there, otherwise you
哦，你贵妇
can
也是一
leave.
样，一律平
So
等，
it's all
大
the
家都是
same.
这样。
It's equal for all. Doesn't
到
matter
我们
if
这
you're
里来，
noble or
没有
not,
说
rich
哦
or
你
not.
很有钱，
Coming
你是
here,
非
it
常有
doesn't
钱
matter if you're extremely wealthy.
啊。哦，等一下是改坐椅子。
Then we'll just change into chairs at the
对呀
Seattle
不然
temple.
那些那个真的那些
赤木
有钱的
said.
人来说跟你蹲在那里，还要蹲下来，这个想要上厕所
Yeah,
还不
sure.
容易。
Otherwise, the rich people come and they have to sit on
改
the
坐椅
floor.
子也是可以的哈。
It's okay, so let everybody
像
sit on the
西雅图雷
chairs
上市
at the Seattle
是
temple.
那个小椅子吧，就是比较小一点的椅子，大家挤
Maybe
在一起坐
smaller chairs so
会比
that
较好一点，
it can fit more people.
可以改，
That would be better.
这个参考一下，参考，注
So
释参考一下。
we can think about it.
这里面所谈到的，跟大家所谈的，虽然是不好的，
So here,
但是是过程。
although this is no
昨
good,
天呢，
but
在
it
西
is
雅图
part
这样
of
说
the process.
这些是毒。
Last night
这个
at
叫
the
做
Seattle
这是毒
temple, I
为什么
said,
毒呢？
this is a poison. Why?
你如果
Why is it
执
considered
着
a
那些
poison?
不好的，
If you are attached to those
比如乐
bad，things,
你说
like the
我修
bliss,
我得到了大乐，
like in your
好了，我
spiritual
得到大乐，
cultivation, you
我觉得
have
这个乐是
experienced
世间
bliss,
罕有，
and you found that the bliss is very rare and unique and special in this world.
我修行得到了大乐以后，我就每一次都希
And
望有大乐。
After I experience this bliss in my practice, I will expect it to happen every time. That after months, after a few years, still you're attached to this bliss, then it would become a poison. Because you have that attachment, that you have to experience that bliss again. So it becomes a poison. So you cannot progress further. Then the bliss would hinder your progress. So it becomes a poison. So it's mentioned here. So why is it referred as a poison? Because if it arises and after many years it will become a hindrance to the faultlessness. That's why it is called a poison. But the bliss experience will definitely happen when the light drops descend and drip to the throat chakra. That would be the initial bliss. From the throat chakra to the heart chakra, that's the superior bliss. From the heart chakra to the navel chakra, that's the extreme bliss, or the ultimate bliss. And then from the navel chakra to the secret chakra, that's the innate bliss. You have to experience this innate bliss. In order to attain this innate bliss, someone asked Grandmaster, you have the attainment of non-leakage. So when you don't leak, do you still experience bliss? Let me tell you. So when you're non-leaking, what you have is the innate bliss. And the innate bliss is the innate wisdom, which is the intrinsically there. It's been there all along. So that kind of innate bliss will appear. But you shouldn't be too attached to it. It's okay to have the innate bliss, but you cannot be attached to any of the other kinds of bliss. And what kind of bliss is that? It's beyond description. And if you tell Grandmaster, today I'm very happy, but I cannot tell. Okay, show me. Can you take it out and show it to me? No, you can't. You can only feel it with your mind. So this is called the mind spiritual experiences. We can only say these 3 words. Tingling, and numbing. Sumalaku is like a name during the Qing dynasty. An attendant to the Kangxi emperor was called Sumalaku. You are the proper yellow banner of the Manchurian. Do you know what Sumalaku is? Grandmaster knows, but I don't. But I'm of Han origin, but you're Manchurian. And you're from the proper yellow banner, which are the emperors, which all the emperors are, and you look like Qianlong Emperor, Emperor Qianlong. And Master Lianzu knows. Sumalaku is an attendant to the Emperor Kangxi. And that kind of bliss is called tingling and excitement, elation. A man and woman would have experienced that. So what is that? So it's like a barrel, and then being surrounded by the iron rope. And then when you take out the iron rope, then the planks, the wooden planks would open up, and it's very relaxed. But it's very light and very. It's impossible to describe, put it into words. So, is this just imagination and fantasy? No, it is a real feeling, but you cannot show it. So that's the mind's spiritual experiences. But it can conceal and divert the continual thoughts. So it is different as the spiritual experiences of realization. So when you experience the great bliss, you will not think of other thoughts. So that's why you can stop or you can block all these other thoughts from occurring. So in your practice, in your meditation, you experience a really blissful feeling, a very ecstatic kind of feeling, and then you use that orgasmic feeling to block all the other senseless thoughts. Then all the other thoughts will not come. So to me, that's the best method for spiritual cultivation, but not for you. What is it? In Tantrayana is the spiritual practice of the wisdom empowerment, which is the highest yoga tantra. When a man and a woman are doing that intercourse, and when they are in full concentration, they don't have any other thoughts occurring, because if you are thinking of other things, then you will not be able to get into it. You have to be totally into it. You have to be in concentration. At those times, you're totally focused. What is it that would make you totally focused? It's that thing. When I write articles, when I am in full concentration, I lost track of time. I don't know people around me. I don't hear them. So I'm totally single-minded. So in the human world, when people are doing that thing, they are the most focused. They will not hear of other things. You are totally in full concentration in doing that thing. So at this time, if you include visualization, mantra recitation, entering into samadhi, meditation, forming the mudra, and all different postures, 64 kinds of postures, it's the easiest way to enter into meditation through the dual body consort practice. So that's the highest yoga tantra, which is the third level empowerment or wisdom empowerment. So it generates not only bliss, it also generates light, and also the emptiness or empty nature will appear, because once you enter into meditation, you enter into emptiness. And of course, this is very profound, extremely profound. However, if you practice this and you have greed and desire, then you would fall into the Vajra hell. Therefore, this is an extremely dangerous way to practice.
他这里面有提到，如果认识禅定及保任任意。
So here, it's stated, if one recognizes the meditation and has the ability to maintain it at will, then it arises to no fault. So if you through many methods able to enter into samadhi, then that's no faults. Then these are just a process. If you're not attached or you don't get hang-ups on them, then you can truly enter into samadhi. So that's what it meant. Just now I got onto a taxi and the driver asked me, "Do you want to listen to songs?" "Yes," I said. And little did I know the driver started singing by himself. So on the way, he kept singing. And when he was really pleased, he would say to himself, "So where's the applause?" And then he would honk twice. And that's not the climax. Do you know? The driver, this very unique driver would say, "So let me see your hands. Can you see both hands?" And the passenger was wondering. It turned out the driver started the wipers. So that's a kind of joy for the driver. That the driver sang for us. That's also a kind of pleasure. So that driver is not bad. Well, in the car, Grandmaster always practice. But I'm a dangerous driver. How can you practice while driving? I would chant the sutras while driving. Right, Simu? Simu said yes. So I would drive and chant sutras. But if I encounter red light, I would be in concentration. I would be totally focused. But if the cars around me, then I would focus on driving. And the sutra that I chant during that time doesn't register in my brain. It's not imprinted in my heart. And I know which part. Then I would restart it. I would restart it. Every time I drive, I am practicing. I am chanting sutras to make use of time. So even when I drive, I also practice. But don't copy me, because if you're in an accident, you would say it's because Grandmaster So it's better if you focus on your driving. But I do two things simultaneously. But my eyes would be watchful toward my driving. If something is out of the ordinary, I would immediately get into my driving mode. Xiaoming went for an interview for a job, and the president asked him, which one is more important, the loyalty or capabilities of an employee? And Xiaoming replied, of course the loyalty. And then the president asked, so why? Can you tell me your reasons? Xiaoming replied, because I have no capabilities. Because I'm not. I'm not able to do anything Grandmaster too. There's only one thing that I'm able of is Buddha Dharma and spiritual cultivation. But that's all I have. But even with only this, I'm able to transcend life and death. Because my focus is on Buddha Dharma. My focus is on spiritual cultivation. Actually, in my life, in the last half of my life, I have been totally focused to correct myself, to practice until I'm able to go beyond ordinary people. So, observe Grandmaster's viewpoints, philosophies, the same as Confucius. Confucius philosophy, ideology is that it's like a globalization, a world point view, not just with the small mindsets and small leaders only worry about their own benefits. We want to benefit other beings, not benefit ourselves. And the spirit of a bodhisattva is to benefit sentient beings, not to benefit ourselves. So the most important thing today, like what I said yesterday, is to benefit all sentient beings, that every one of them can attain Buddhahood. So that's your transcendence, how you're better than the rest. So look at countries, between countries, they're eyes to eyes, eye to eye. You glare at each other. It's about war. They're all for their own benefits. If they have learned Buddhism, then they would be able to transcend that the world is all interconnected and we should have help each other, not fight against each other. So the same thing between people. We should help each other and not fight against each other. From individuals to countries. Look at the world nowadays. What's going on? Every time there's the military show is to show what? Is to show about killing. Weaponry is to kill. So they show off all those. That the country is very strong. So why don't you show their food so that everybody has food to eat? So why don't we transport the abundance of food to the areas where there's famine or where they are needed? But instead you're demonstrating your strong power, your weaponry, your military. So you're strong because you have all these weapons and arms and no. But instead, if you can distribute your surplus of food and other things to all different parts of the world, then there would have been the great true globalization. That's all I would like to say today. Thank you very much.